least and last material, let's say, for contemporary art, or it's really something which is so connected to bourgeois aesthetics. I think it's not really fault of the material, you know, and material can get some appropriation for approval for use in art. It's unfortunately very expensive to do it.
The way he more or less says it is that here he's picturing, it's a 3-year project, and he's picturing himself as a kind of sculpture in the landscape, but putting himself in the landscape or in the context of the landscape, not his making a big deal out of his personal identity, but putting him, putting his body into this
space.
But it's also part of the question of searching for yourself. You've left this, your parents were communists, you were a good kid, you had a grandmother that was she was different, she wasn't quite a communist, so you had exposed to the other side. You see, and now who are you? Who am I? And so you see him in moments of terror, you see him in all of his moments, always in the landscape. The idea of man versus nature is reversed. Now I am in the landscape, or in the picture, or the rest of it. It's not me versus the picture. I see that, and I see that as again, kind of essay on identity, or a series of works, of beautifully photographed works on the issue of self-identity. And also, he's always alone, so in effect, you get that this is the guy that said, I'm not going to join this, I'm not going to join this, I'm going to move out to this small town, live with the most peasant people of Czech Republic, and develop my own message, my own statement. And here, I mean,
that's probably a result of some self-art therapy, because I was really like crazy taking them when I bought my first digital camera, and I could see what is the result immediately. This selection, or the selection in the book, it's actually a selection of from, I'm even shy to say, it's really made out of maybe 120,000 photographs, I was really making like crazy, really, like let's say 4 or 5 years. This is selection, I think, of 4 years.
5 years?
Yeah. Like all the time, it was obsession, and I really wanted to, the book is the thing, I wanted to make the book, I wanted to make something to finish it, otherwise I was driving crazy from that. And the thing is, that, there is a couple of texts in the book somehow relating to the subject, but I really liked what one fantastic guy said about seeing the book. It was Ben Morea, and he said something about body becoming a geometrical element in whatever it is part of.
He was in Czech Republic, and before he wasn't allowed to travel anywhere, really. He couldn't go. Maybe he could go to Poland, I'm not even sure. Very difficult to go to even Moscow. So the moment they were free, 1989, to travel, he got interested in this project, which is also a kind of self-purification project, but he got into this project of going to the North Sea, going to these lakes in the middle of, in the eastern part of Russia, going to the Rio Grande, going whatever, to all of these bodies of water, experiencing the water, and then with India ink, putting the thing in the water, coming out, and letting the water itself determine what's going to stain the paper with as little involvement as possible. I said, you know, when somebody came in and said, oh, some of these are really nice, he said, well, he says, it's not about aesthetics. It's about this process of...
Process and life.
And life. And life and experiencing these trips. He went to some of the most remote places in the world. Really, as far as you can go, like way at the edge of China.
I tried to speak about the things about I thought I have very clear opinion. I try to express this opinion in words without any preparation and record it. So it's without any further editing, with exception of the video Martyrs, where it was really messed up, so I made some cuts, but everything is a little bit messed up. But it's what really I thought in that moment of recording about these kind of crucial things like God, art, crude oil, parallel revolt, martyrs, and further, and later on I made some video talking about the crisis.
Well, I think the videos, look, the freedom to what? We said freedom to make art out of all objects, out of experiences, and even out of transient things. Transient things are to make up art, you know, the artist determines it, out of something that happened, his daughter's first attempt to play the piano, for example. One example, or these others which deal with searching for, trying to deal with issues of God and religion after you've left a system where you had no interest in religion. So all those issues you'll see there. And the issue about being on Mark Street and feeling that it was absolutely necessary to go to his grave. You saw that video, yeah. And he goes in England, in London, with that huge head of Mark's. You know, so, you know, it all, and it's not, it's like, you know, I always think of Neruda's statement that you have to first be local before you can be universal. And that's what these kind of local, this show feels very Czech to me. Even though you could say the sea drawings look like any kind of expressionist or Chinese or whatever. You know, one thing, there's a huge Czech population in Texas that's never been reached. But recently, people have come in here because they see his name and to Czech. And the last person that came in started talking Czech to him the way they talked Czech 100 years ago. And now Martin was saying, oh, you're teaching me the language now. He's laughing. But, you know, so we're touching base with the Czech
community,
with the community and the cultural center and the rest of it. That's one thing. The other thing is this change that they went through after communism was an experience that we didn't experience. We didn't have that experience, and I think that experience was the hottest thing of that moment. It was really an extraordinary thing because it was like, I think it was like maybe the feelings people had at the end of World War II, where they felt now enlightened, or the feelings people had in those moments after the Sandinista revolution where the people had won, or in Cuba, same, and there were people cheering and shouting in the street. They had a moment like that. The Velvet Revolution, was the revolution, you know, transformed the country in 2 or 3 years, and the artists got ideas and began developing themes that are unique to them and a lesson to us, because we begin to, you know, like, and also the pre-Martin ZET, you know, he had a problem with, he was in, I can't remember,